Alright, so today we will be making a wood toolbox, just like this one that will have a movable tray. And this will be made out of two full sheets, 2 foot by 2 foot, ACX plywood. The ACX just means it's sanded plywood, and you can just find this very easily at your home center. For the hardware, we need some chest latches, a light duty door pull, which should work just fine for this, and a 12-inch piano hinge. So next up, we will be needing to cut these panels down into the fronts, the sides, the lids, everything we need. And the way I will be doing this is not with the table saw, which would be the easiest way, but right now I have a radial saw that can both do rip cuts, and the way I do rip cuts is I have a framing square, and this framing square helps me get all this depth. Problem is, this is very short, it's kind of inaccurate, so what I usually do is I grab a clamp down here, so it's very stable. I measure from here to here, and you gotta hold this very well, otherwise it can be kind of dangerous to do. And if I just remove this, I put a piece here, and what I do for radial saws is I push in instead of pull out, just because if you pull out, the saw can pull this way. It's a little bit more dangerous. So, what you just saw me do in that time lapse, it worked out well, was I cut down the first sheet, which came down to these two panels. These are front and back of a tray, and this is the side of the toolbox. There's dust all over because I don't have dust collection. That'll be a later thing. This will be a handle to the insert, the thing you lift out. And now, the next time lapse, I think I forgot, and I need to cut these down a little bit, and maybe this, but I will move on to the next sheet. That next sheet will have the rest of the pieces, and I'll show you what happens after that. So here's the learning lesson. I thought I measured correctly, but I guess I did not. So these are, this one is for the tray insert, and this is the tray size. These match up. Problem is, they're an inch less, and an inch less. So they're an inch small on one dimension. So I will have to go ahead and cut that. I'll do that off camera. I'll come cut those out of scrap if I have the pieces. So I'll have to figure out what I'll have to do with that. So I'll go ahead and do that. I'll be right back. So now that I have everything taped up, I had a 1/4 inch square dowel. These are super cheap, you can buy them. They're gonna go in here on the side here to hold up this tray. And as I said, this tray is a little bit small, but it will work out just fine. And I didn't tape it on, but I do have a handle that'll go right there, so it looks like a traditional box. And everything's just butt joints, which you just glue along here, put this on top, and there you go. That will be for everything here, and I think it's more than strong enough for at least this. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this up, and I'll be back once I can start sanding. So after letting the glue set for about half hour, which is what this needs, it is strong enough that I can start sanding with it. This is a little bit different because I forgot on the plans to cut these pieces. This is the lid, but I forgot to cut these pieces. So I came back a little bit after the camera stopped and glued up this whole piece, a little bit off, but I'll have to sand that back. And when I do sand, I will start with 80 to smooth everything out, flush up the lines. Then after 80, I'll go to 150. 150 is just a medium point where it starts to smooth everything out. 150 can be stopped at, but I want to go up to 220. And then 220 would be nice because it gets everything really, really smooth, which I want for this. And that would be our finishing pass. So, to the time lapse, I got everything sanded up to 220. The lid, the box, the insert. Now they're all really, really smooth. And before, everything was kind of misaligned, didn't look that great. But after sanding, you can clean up the lines pretty well, and it does look pretty nice after this. So, next I'm going to put the hardware on. But before hardware goes on, this type of project itself, this is the point where you stain it, or you finish it, or you do both, like paint or like polyurethane or something. You can stick that on here. Those are the easier options. But just right now, I'm just going to put the hardware on, because I have a piano hinge, I have the handle, and I also have the latch right here. So in the next time lapse coming up, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Alright, so after getting all the hardware on, this is how it turned out. We got a 12-inch, or it's 1 1/16 by 12-inch piano hinge on the back. It's silver. And then I've got the light duty handle on top. And then around the front, I have the, what's it called? The box latch. So this box latch, I thought it'd be way too big for this. Apparently it's perfect size. So all you have to do is click that up, and this pops out, and then you can open it. And these are a little bit rough, but I didn't mind leaving like that. As you saw, I was using a hand saw to do that. Then I got my dad's automatic sawzall, but it's a really small one. So then I use that. That's why there's so much orange, because from the blade. But I cut all these down. I used the hand file those down. I didn't get to these because it's such a tight space, and I can file them over or cut them off later. But this now has 2 brass screws over here and over here, and it's fairly strong. So I think this will work as is. It's got a nice amount of depth, and I put those dowels I talked about. Put dowel over here, and then over here, and you can just do like a normal toolbox. Full tight, but that's fine. Better tight than way too loose like I did this dimension, but it kind of helps because you can see what tools you have on the bottom. But in the end, I think it turned out fairly nice. Cheap wood, it's basic joints for a beginner. I'm still kind of a beginner. I don't really know a lot of the more complicated stuff, which I might touch upon later on if this channel grows much. But this is how it turned out, and I think it turned out fairly decent for only 4 hours, about 4 hours worth of work, close to that. And I really should have gone the extra mile and done this an entire day, slowed down, and I needed more clamps, and I just need better techniques. But this is just how it turned out. I got a good learning lesson of I need more clamps, I need better techniques of how to do this, but overall, turned out nice. I think this is great for beginners. So, I'll see you next time.